Welcome to the Dialed In podcast. I'm your host, Callan Hahn, registered dietitian, cellular restoration practitioner, and bodybuilder. This podcast is for high-performing women that are ready to be intentional about reaching their next level of their health, performance, and life. Hello, Ali. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's so good to see you.
You too. It's been too long. The last time I saw Callan, we were in the sauna just chatting about health and wealth. So it's perfect.
Yeah, we were at an inner circle retreat, and us being like the health gurus, we're sitting in the sauna for like an hour and we're like dying. But we were in such intense conversation that we were like, oh my gosh, it was just such a joy to be able to spend that retreat with you and walking away with so many just empowered women being at that event. It's just an absolute privilege. And I want to dive in because originally your business partner, Hannah, was one that I had connected with first. And Hannah and I were at an event in New York. And I just remember before you guys fully went into partnership together, she was like, hey, there's this girl, Ali. And she was hyping you up like no one I've ever seen before, that I was like, oh my gosh, this is a match made in heaven. So that's how you guys created the Wealth Collaborative. But do you want to dive in a little bit more on your experience, your background, and exactly who you serve?
Absolutely. And I'm like, okay, it's my turn. I get to brag about my business partner, Hannah. She is just the best. And it was truly divine intervention that we met. But both of our backgrounds were in corporate finance, serving the ultra wealthy. So think people with hundreds of millions of dollars who have already maybe exited their companies or are really in their legacy planning phase of life. And both Hannah and I felt some sort of discomfort in our body. We were like, we just feel like there's more for us to do. There's a group of people who we feel need to be served better. And that was women and female business owners and their families. And so I actually met Hannah 2 days before I quit my job. And she was just a couple steps ahead of me and had been praying for a business partner. And so the Wealth Collaborative was born. And what we focus on is supporting these female entrepreneurs and business women, high level women, in creating wealth beyond their businesses or their income so that they can really create the life that they want and the impact, making your money give you the impact that you want to make.
Yeah, so for some of those that are joining and are going to watch the replay here, when it comes to wealth, I think there's a lot of mindset shifts that have to happen. What do you see the most where you really help women direct where their mindset needs to shift in order to view wealth differently?
The one I've been seeing the most lately, or at least the most women talk about, is their feelings around shame. And the feeling of like, hey, I don't want to show up to the meeting because I don't want you to see my dirty laundry. And I listened to a really interesting conversation last week with Matthew McConaughey, and he talked about humility and the definition of humility being the ability to admit that you have more to learn. And so when we're feeling shame, I think we really just need to look at our relationship with humility and being like, hey, it's okay that I have more to learn. And mind you, it is a characteristic of many super wealthy people to be able to delegate things outside of their zone of genius. So to shift that feeling around shame, I would say shame can be a very positive emotion. It can be signaling to your body that something needs to shift, that maybe you need to invite a little bit more grace and open yourself to a conversation of what you could learn and what you could shift in your wealth strategy.
Yeah, and I feel like we all have so much to learn on different pillars, whether it is budgeting, whether it is wealth, whether it is health and wellness, whether it's fitness. Like there's so many different pillars. And anyone who has a true growth mindset knows that, okay, if I trust and these experts, they've got me. And your nervous system starts downregulating because now you know that you have someone that you can trust, that is the expert, that is fully taking care of everything, that has been through years of school, through years of practical application to realize, okay, this is where you're sitting. This is where we need to go. And here are all the steps that we're going to take. Here's a timeline. Like, I think it is comfort to be able to work with someone, especially with the legacy, your future, to really understand that there is so much more than just the surface level. Oh, I need to start investing. I need to start doing this. That comfort is going to down regulate your system so that you can be more successful as you're getting to your legacy.
That's such a good point, that it's just such a domino effect. That when you open yourself up to receiving and feeling good about receiving money and creating wealth and legacy wealth, it's just a domino effect from there.
Yeah. In terms of legacy wealth and using that term, creating the life of your dreams, what are some personal experiences that you have seen with, either specific clients or in your field where it really changed your life of like, wow, this statement is actually us just saying live the life of your dreams is understated because it creates XYZ. What is that?
Yeah, it's funny because people have a perception of the financial industry that we're gonna get you into a meeting, we're gonna get you to talk about like all the things that you want, and then we're gonna say it's so possible. And it is, it totally is. But I think what the most important piece of the puzzle is having something custom made to you. When you tell me all these things that you want, what you're really telling me is your values. And we want to make sure that your money is telling a story that reflects those values. So, for example, we have a client who has no kids and wants to take a sabbatical in a year. Her wealth strategy looks a lot different than the client that has 3 kids and wants to make sure that their kids have things that she didn't have.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So the two strategies look so different, but they reflect each person's individual values.
That's so good. And that customization, like how deep does it go? Like when you are speaking on legacy specifically.
I mean, it goes so deep because we start from the beginning. We want to know what each person's money story is because it informs the way that we should communicate with someone. The reason people struggle so much with managing their money is because they're not translating it in a way that they actually care about. Like if you're somebody who doesn't respond well to the word emergency savings, but you respond super well to Paris fund or dream home down payments, the words that we say matter. And when it comes to legacy building, listen, we're all going to be 10 different versions of ourselves. The legacy we're building now is going to look different than the legacy we're building in a year. So building a plan that can be flexible with the way that you grow is so important. And when we talk about legacy planning too, there's so much you can do from a charitable giving standpoint or creating a trust. Like let's say your legacy is to make sure your kids are taken care of. You can outline all of that in trust documents. You can start gifting into a trust now, invest it for later. So there's so much you can do from a legacy standpoint that reflects what you actually care about.
Yeah. And even the micro things that people are doing now compound over time. And I think that's why everybody needs to start thinking about their wealth in the present on how are those incremental things that I do now, those 1% changes, going to compound over time, but create the largest value for me. And for some of those that are watching here, like what are some examples of things that you've noticed that create the highest level of compounding, but people just don't pay attention to?
Oh, that's such a great question. I think I'm just going to use the example of like gifting to your kids one day. Let's say one day you want to help pay for your kid's wedding. If you just earn and try to make that money in cash, it's so much harder than if I'm putting $100 into an account every month and investing it. The ability and the magic behind compounding is so insanely great. So historically, the stock market, if you look at the last 50 years and annualize the returns, we're talking 10% in the stock market, or the S&P 500, which is just the 500 largest companies in the US. So if you're saying, hey, I can put money away now and I can earn potentially 10% annualized, why wouldn't I do it now? And I'm actually getting less than my hard-earned time, the money that you receive from trading your time. You're now creating this passive growth, which is what I think everybody really wants.
Yeah. Now, do you hear a lot just in your environment of before people get started that they're hesitating because they're like, I don't know if it's the right time. I don't know if I have enough money. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. Like, do you hear a lot of that like resistance or objection before people just like fully dive in?
Yeah, it's so funny. And Callan, I bet you see people all the time who have not prioritized their health and come to you at like a rock bottom moment of like, now I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
We never want somebody to get to that moment of, oh shoot, now I'm in a really bad situation. Maybe I'm a couple years out of retirement. You can really compare it to like your healthy routines. Like if you're somebody who wakes up and brushes your teeth every morning, you've already created a routine around health. Like it can be something as simple as that, like brushing your teeth. It doesn't have to be this big life altering, you know, I'm throwing something in a really scary investment. It starts really simple and then it grows from there. Like maybe some of your clients is, okay, now we're taking some supplements. Now we're doing, a low impact workout in the morning. You grow with time.
Yeah. That's so good. And I just want to like encourage like our audience here that like money is good. Wealth is good, and really embracing all of it, just like you said with health. It's something that you should take care of every single day. Your health is your wealth. And I want to like really turn it around on your perspective of what healthy is for you. Because I know that for us high performing women, it is just part of our daily life to have our non-negotiables and take care of our health because we know it's going to pay back dividends on our ability to generate wealth. So for you, what does healthy look like for you in this season of life?
I've been on a journey with my health. I really have. I have been somebody who has experienced burnout, and that was in the corporate world. I even had ulcers from stress. And when I showed up in my personal life, I was not the best version of myself. I was really tired and I was just feeling so burnt out. So now, fast forward a couple of years, I really, really prioritize my health amongst building my business because I know that my personal health is my biggest income producing asset. If I'm not feeling well, I am not capable of making any money or impacting my wealth in any way. So if you're somebody who's like really in grind mode, just know that you have to protect your most important asset. And I think right now what that looks like for me, because I'm planning a wedding and my business partner is having a baby, we're preparing for her maternity leave. There's so much going on. Right now I'm focused on eliminating hurry in my life. Like I'm really focused on my cortisol, my stress hormone, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in like, oh, I got somewhere I need to be. Today, after this call, I have a gynecology appointment, and I'm like, I have to keep that on the calendar because it's important, you know? So, um, and this is something that's constantly tested. I mean, even yesterday, I had a small window to get to a workout, and I really prioritize my workouts. It makes me feel sane. So I'm like wrapping up a meeting late, and I'm in the car and I'm running 10 minutes late. I'm like, hey, Ali, remember, we're not in a hurry. Like, it is a privilege to be able to work out and have some time for myself today. If I'm 5 minutes late, you know what? I missed a little stretching. I can stretch more tonight. Like, it's this constant conversation with yourself.
Yeah, that's so good. And okay, so for everyone who doesn't know about your impeccable engagement, go visit Allie's page to view all of her stuff about her engagement because it was so special. I just remember seeing it and I'm like, is that not the dream engagement? So, congratulations. I'm so excited for you guys.
Thank
And
you.
what's really beautiful is the fact that you guys do fitness together. I see you guys on social media doing runs together, eating clean together. Like it is something that you have embraced because you love each other so much that you want the legacy of not only both of you to be healthy, but continue those healthy habits and instill teaching your kids in the future. And now it's just part of your life. So how has having him as a support system really helped for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, I'm the luckiest girl on planet Earth. You said it, Callan. Oscar is amazing, but there's so much from a physical standpoint and also a mental standpoint that Oscar and I impact each other. Um, from a physical standpoint, we love to get outside and, work out together and encourage each other. He played D1 soccer, so he's always, encouraging me and everything. So I'm so grateful for that. But even from a mental standpoint too, your partner has so much influence over you. When I come home and let's just say I've had a stressful day and I'm like just dumping on Oscar, what I appreciate so much about him is he's really good at redirecting that energy into a positive place. He could be somebody who's like harping on, oh, that's horrible. Gosh, I'm gonna, whatever. He could be so negative about it, but he's so positive. So we really try to do that for each other and encourage each other. One thing we do is like we go for a run and turn on Forrest Frank, and we're like, this gets us, in a good headspace, and it really feels so healthy, and I'm so grateful.
Do you feel like it's a little bit of accountability too?
Totally. It is. And your partner is a mirror to you all the time. Like there will be goals that I set. And before, lived alone, if I was like acting outside of my goals, nobody would see. Now he totally sees, and we've had this conversation too though of like we don't want to be each other's coach. We want to be each other's support system. So even if like, there's a goal and let's say there's a an exercise goal or something and I eat a cookie, like he's not going to make me feel bad about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the beautiful aspect is, you guys being able to still enjoy life, but the fact that your standards are so high for your everyday, that one cookie that you eat isn't going to matter.
No,
Just
it does
just enjoy
not.
it. And that's the really cool aspect of, the environment that you're in. The high performing women that we surround ourselves with. You really selecting someone who's going to be a partner in life who has high standards and you constantly being surrounded with those type of people, it's your mindset's going to run off of a completely different frequency. And I think that's why we connected so, aggressively that one retreat is like we were just like magnetic. And we felt drawn to each other because we're like, great, we have the same values. We understand that we take care of ourselves every single day so that we can be present in the moment, so that we can go live the life of our dreams, like we've been talking about earlier in this. And I think a lot of people are living in the pain in the moment of the hardships of finances or the hardships with the physical discomfort. And what they don't realize is both of them go hand in hand. If you're struggling financially, you will be struggling with your health. They go hand in hand. Like, health is wealth. And it's because if you have any nervous energy around money, or you are constantly in fight or flight because of the legacy of you, your family, what the future holds, that's not going to allow your nervous system to downregulate, so that you can finally, your body can breathe, so that you can digest with ease, so that you can sleep good at night. It's like a down ripple effect. And I just want to encourage all of those that are listening here that as soon as you get a hold of your money and your finances, you know where it's coming from, where it's going, you have a plan put into place, it is so easy for you to just sit back and breathe.
It's such a great point, and it's also fact. Like, if you look up surveys are correlated, they really are. If you have poor health, you have lower lifetime income. And health and sickness and not taking care of yourself is one of the most expensive things in the United States. If you are somebody who needs extra support around health and you haven't taken care of yourself, it is expensive. So it makes sense that it's correlated.
Yeah. And I firmly believe a lot of people don't even know what healthy actually means. I feel like they're living out of this standard of, well, society told me I need to eat vegetables. Society told me I need to do Orange Theory. Society told me to do all these things. And the really cool aspect of, like, you guys customize wealth, we do the same thing with health, to where we're going to meet you where you're at this season of life. And there's a little bit of deprogramming that needs to happen because of what society has really instilled in us, that health looks a certain way. Well, everyone is unique in their DNA. Everyone is unique in their past traumas or experiences, or, whatever they have gone through. Or even, like you said, you had a stressful experience in corporate, as did I. There was a season of life where I had to relearn my body being in corporate, because I was like, okay, now that I'm at a heightened level of stress, I digest different. My body responds different. I was getting all this acne, all these hormone disruptions. And then you really dive into, okay, what does healthy look like for me in this season of life? And a lot of the times people are too blind to see it, just like with wealth. And people think like, oh, I'm good with my money. And then you have an expert come in and they're like, you could be better.
I really love that you take a custom approach to health. I think it's so important. And I think, like you said, there's so much out there being in this digital world. Like, we go on Instagram and, like, oh, bananas are bad now, and tomorrow milk is good, and almond milk is now the thing, or whatever it is. So to be so custom and know, like, you're monitoring how people's bodies respond to things, and you can allow them to put their blinders on and really look inward and focus with your team on their own custom map, because what we see on Instagram can only get us so far. It's not personalized, right?
Yeah, the really cool thing is, in a true custom environment, especially with nutrition, because I've had over 5,000 clients, I've been able to classify foods multiple ways. And that's exactly what we teach inside of our space, is because you could look at foods from a nutrient dense perspective of, like, okay, these foods are high in C, high in vitamin D, high in the B vitamins. Do I need nourishment from that perspective? Or you could look at nutrition of, okay, is this a nightshade classification? Is this a fructose classification? So we don't really educate individuals on macros, because macros, in my opinion, don't teach you anything. They are numbers that are calibrated that once you do figure out your body, they can be very helpful. And a lot of the times, first time people are ever doing a bodybuilding show, they're in that, they've never been through a cut before. They don't know. They're just listening to their coach. They're along for the ride. They're going to go in a caloric deficit. Well, yes, a caloric deficit is a great way to lose weight. But what are you going to do after you lose the weight? And this is where a lot of people get confused because they're like, okay, when I reintroduce foods, I'm sensitive to everything. It's like, okay, well, you learned macros, you learned calorie deficit. Now it's a new learning opportunity of how do we remineralize your body? How do we get you to optimal health? How do we get your brain firing on all cylinders? And I think that's ultimately what the businesswoman wants, is she wants to be so dialed in that when she goes to her, car pickup to go pick up her kids, she's all put together. She goes to the grocery store. All the moms are like, who is that? She looks so good. Like, everybody just wants to have that healthy glow to them and no certainty. I think that's where a lot of confusion happens with health, is that uncertainty of like, I don't know what's going to happen if I eat this, or I don't know when I'm going to have time to eat, or I don't know when I'm going to have time to, get some movement in and take care of myself. I think if you have like a structured plan that is totally customized around you, it makes everything so flawlessly. And I know in certain seasons of your life, you've had a lot of that structure. But now you're in a season of life where you're like, great, I got to ebb and flow. And that's what long-term health looks like. And that's why I wanted to have you as a guest today, is because I know you model and demonstrate it so well that I want other people to know that it can be that easy. It's so good.
So good. And I truly love that you're saying it's like this relationship between structure and flexibility.
Yes.
Like having a plan to support you so that you have a great foundation to stand on, but you're going to go through different things. Like in health, like you said, if you're in a caloric deficit, the next season is something else. It's so common with your health too, with your wealth, to have seasons as well, where it's like, okay, this season, I just drove down the street and saw my dream home. That season's going to look a lot different than just maintenance. Mm-hmm. So there's so much change that can be positive when you have a strong foundation.
Yeah, and I think part of that structure is an ideal timeline. When bodybuilding, it's 3 months. You get in your best shape of your life for 3 months, you're on a deficit for 3 months. But how many people do we know are on a deficit for 2-3 years? And you're like, no, ma'am, that was not how God intended us to steward our body. And really looking at it from a biblical standpoint of, yes, it is stewarding your body to be on a weight loss journey, but it wasn't intended to be prolonged. It was intended for a short amount of time to get the job done. And then how are we going to replenish the body and steward it the right way? So it's just so beautiful. And I know you and Oscar both are deep rooted in your faith. How do you think that plays a role in your health and wellness?
Oh my gosh. It is the center of our relationship, and speaking a lot about foundation, having that is really great from a mental health standpoint. So talking about inviting healthy habits into my life that can help me eliminate hurry and feeling stressed and like I have a million things to do. Every single morning, I read my Bible and I spend time journaling and I gratitude journal. And before every meal, we pray and we slow down and we enjoy our food and we allow it to nourish our bodies instead of just grabbing a quick protein bar and filling up quick, And Oscar does the exact same thing. It's prayer, it's leaning on God and making him the center of our relationship. The other thing I will say too is we can't be everything to everyone. And it's so helpful in our relationship because there are seasons where we go through hard times. And if I relied only on Oscar, oh my gosh, that is such a heavy, heavy weight to carry as a human being. He wouldn't have anything left for himself because he cares about me so much. So the fact is, if I'm going through something and I have more to lean on than just a human being, I have faith. So for people listening, it might be God and your faith. Maybe it's a really strong relationship with your therapist, or you have a great support system in your family, or you believe in like karma and the universe, like whatever it is that's bigger than yourself is so helpful in a relationship. For us, it is God, and it helps us beyond words.
That's so beautiful. And it's paid you guys back dividends. Like, both of you are the most incredible people. And you can tell by all those that are around you that the light that you bring, it's just so magnetic to everyone around you. Okay, so when it comes to one thing that you want people to really walk away with knowing about, like wealth specifically, what is the biggest advice that you could offer to anyone?
Ooh, the biggest advice I could offer around wealth is um, your money should tell a story about who you are. If your money is not telling the story that you want, I encourage you to take some time to reflect, bring in the right partners to help you write that story. Um, but it should be a reflection of your values. And if something is feeling off with your money, it's likely because your money is not aligned with your values. So I strongly, strongly encourage you to just spend the time to honor your story through your money.
Yeah. And do you feel like some people just have a bad context, or if around money, or here's another scenario, they weren't raised with money, so it's hard to for them to see what the light at the other end of the tunnel is.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we had a client who started to make money in her business, and she was like, "Hey, I grew up where my family told me that rich people were bad and they were greedy and they had to do bad things to make this money." And I'm like, "Hey, have you ever been to a restaurant and you had the most incredible experience with the wait staff? They were so sweet, they were so attentive. And then you went online and you saw a review and it said, this is the worst restaurant, this is the worst staff." I'm like, guess what? You have the opportunity to lead by example. You get to be everything that, the one person that your family met that gave them the wrong impression of people with money. You get to change that narrative. And maybe for you, let's say if your values are around, charitable giving, for them, they really, really care about tithing to their church. So that's part of their now money story. Your past does not have to define you. I mean, Callan, I'm sure there's so much you could say about like how the body keeps score and people
Mm.
dealing with trauma showing up in their health, but you can rewrite that story for yourself. You can find a healthier way to live. Same is true for your money.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer, everything that happens throughout the day is an input. And what a lot of people don't realize, because you had, brought up emotions, we experience over 10,000 emotions throughout the day. And a lot of the times we ask our women, did you process through all 10,000 of those today? How many are backlogged? And then, yes, your body does keep score. And then you have to realize all the things that you touched throughout the day. Did you experience bacteria, viruses? Were there certain things that you were exposed to, mold in the air, all of that, fragrances or chemicals that you'd walked into a place of business and the cleaning crew is there. Your body is taking score of all of those inputs. And when your body becomes overwhelmed, that's when disease starts setting in. And when disease starts setting in, a lot of the times it's very quiet because it's just starting to make itself very comfortable in the body. And then if you don't address it, it compounds. Same thing with your wealth. If you don't address it in the beginning, when it's real quiet, boy, things are going to either compound in a good way or they're going to compound in a bad way. And I think it's the same thing with your health. And I think that perspective shift can change so many people's lives when they ask themselves, how can I be 1% better in both areas today? And moving forward, just continuing every day, get that 1% better. Because we're not promised tomorrow. And I think that's what a lot of people don't really look at life that way. They're just in the comfort, they're going through the motions. But in reality, you have to ask yourself, did I do my very best today? Can I be 1% better tomorrow? And if something were to happen to me today, what do I want people to say about me? And I think that's the legacy that I'm creating for myself moving forward is how many lives have I changed through health and wellness? You know, and then for you, how many lives have you changed with people's wealth? And people like us, we're not doing it because, you know, yes, we do love the job, but we're not doing it for ourselves. We're doing it to transform other people's lives. And that's what I live for. And I know that's what, like, you love helping so many people is because that's what you want. You want the wins. You want to see people succeed. And most people in our environment understand that. Like, we are surrounded by a community of women who just want to see each other win. And I know from my past, there was a lot of people who didn't want to see others at a higher level of success than them. And they didn't want to invest in the experts because they're like, no, I think I got it. Oh, I'm just going to use ChatGPT for it. I'm just going to do this. They were outsourcing it in the wrong areas. And I feel like that's where a lot of people feel disconnected with not only their bodies, but their finances and their ability to gain wealth is they've outsourced it to something that's not going to customize it to them.
Yeah, I completely agree with the customization of it all. I mean, if you just like Googled what should I do with my money, I feel like what would come up is like 60-40 stock portfolio. When you're retiring, like maybe peel it back a little bit. But like we talked about, that's not really telling the story about you. And when it comes to your wealth too, if somebody is just kind of plugging in the numbers, like they don't really care about what you do, but they care about how much you bring home. For me, there's a disconnect there because I really don't believe like people are just numbers. I believe in the relationships you find to help, like the experts that you speak of should invest in you as much as you're investing in them, especially in finding people in your health and your wealth. These are relationships that you call during very sensitive times. Like if you're in a state of burnout and you start coaching, like you're really relying on that person during a hard time. With your financial advisors and your wealth strategists, you call them during amazing moments, like, you know, you found that house and you need help planning for it. You also call them during hard moments, like, you know, somebody passed away and you need help sorting that out. So the relationships are so, so important. And having somebody that truly has invested in you, you can rely on is so huge.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I want people to know that it is a safe place being with empowered women and that we really see things from a different perspective because there was a time when we didn't have it all figured out. There was a time when I had my day one, when I didn't have my health figured out. So I think the relatability that we do have with individuals, they see us on social media, they see us being the experts, they see us, you know, performing at a certain level. And I know that for some, there's a disconnect of like, ooh, I don't know that I'm ready to be surrounded with them. And I just want to encourage individuals, like if you see someone owning their power on social media and you love everything that they stand for, that they are projecting, and the value that they possess in their business, and you know it can help you, go all in. Because
100%.
that will be the biggest change in your life is when you go all in on someone that you highly admire. Don't be intimidated. Go all in and make those changes in your life, those 1% that you know are going to compound over time. So good. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the Wealth Collaborative and what you guys offer in terms of customization. If it's, what the timeline is, what the actual one-on-one experience looks like.
Absolutely. I absolutely love our process because it is so intentional to get to know somebody and create custom strategy around who they are. So we start with our onboarding and wealth strategy building phase with every client. So that means there's a lot of hand holding and seeing us in the beginning. We fully dive into everything you have going on in your financial picture. We talk about your money story. We talk about your goals, what you really want. We give you the space to explore. Maybe these are some questions you've never asked yourself before. And so there's a lot of reflection and iterating that happens during this stage. Then we really organize everything you've worked so hard on. And what most people find is they're so scared to get into this meeting. And then we find there's so much more to celebrate than you think. So the first step is to get to know you, to celebrate you. And then we know what got us here is not necessarily going to get us there. So everything that's so important to you, like let's give your dollars a job. I think something really key about our team is we aren't just building the strategy, we're also implementing and executing. And so for most women that I talk to right now, they're wearing too many hats, they have too much on their plate. So they're like, okay, all this sounds great, but like, how do I open a 401k account? I have no idea. So that's where our partnership comes in, and we are managing your investments, we're opening your accounts, we're making sure the strategy is doing what it needs to do. And then we're along for the ride with you. So like we talked about, you potentially being 10 versions of yourself, we're constantly evolving the plan to fit your life. Like I know moms who their kids all of a sudden need braces. Like we're making sure they can take care of their braces, or moms or wives who have now been able to retire their husbands and creating an income shift and figuring out like what that looks like in your finances. So we build those custom wealth strategies, but then we're alongside you for your life.
That's so good. And I know you guys offer an world-class experience that is cherished by so many. Where can people find more information about the Wealth Collaborative?
You can go to our website, thewealthcollaborative.co, or feel free to throw us a DM on Instagram at The Wealth Collaborative. We're always there to answer questions and be a resource for you. Anything we can do to help another mission-hearted woman get more money in her pocket.
So good. So good. If you had one takeaway that you wanted everyone to experience from this live today, what would that be?
Ooh, one takeaway I would say is prioritize your wealth like you prioritize your health. It touches everything you do. It is so important. And remember, you yourself is your most important income generating asset. So your body is a temple, and take care of it.
Amen. Said so well. Well, Ali, it was so good having you here today. And I cannot wait to see the wedding unfold, all the things. It's going to be such a joy. I'm so happy for you.
I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and time and space with me today.
You're so sweet. All right. Have a blessed day, and we'll stay in touch.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.